we're talking about, coaching and tough coaches. And like, I mean, the way we Canucks fans and us in Vancouver kind of became aware of you is when you came here to Vancouver in that Luongo deal with Markstrom. What kind of a coach is John Tortorella? Because everybody kind of comes up with their own narrative, or he's this or he's that, he's X and he's Y. And I'm like, how did you respond to him? Like, because he has a track record of just being a hard ass, but how did you respond coming into this market with him?
I liked him. I thought he was great. I thought he was fair. I thought if you played well, played hard, you played. I mean, he was tough. He expected a lot. He expected an honest effort, but if you put that honest effort out there, like, you did get ice time. I didn't think when Laine went to Columbus, it was a good fit. I played with Patrick Laine. I didn't think that would be a good fit. Kind of saw the writing on the wall on that one. But for myself personally, I really liked John. I thought he was a good coach. Had some good talks with him. But he's going to do things the way he wants it done, and sometimes some players don't like that.
You stay in Vancouver. Willie Desjardins comes in. You pretty much became a figure of Canucks folklore because you scored a hat trick against the Boston Bruins. Arash brought this up, but we're just kind of curious, like, why do you only score so much, and if so, the most beautiful?
It's like, what did Tuukka Rask do? Like, what did he slide into a DM, or like, did he just tell you like your shirt was ugly one day and you're like, okay, well, I'm just going to ruin this man's career during the 2014 season. I'm just going to haunt you for the rest of your life.
Yeah, no, that was for whatever reason, that team, I could always get some pretty goals against. That game in particular was awesome. We just finished our father-son trip. So my dad was there for the game. So it was cool that he could be there. We had some friends visiting, they were there, and yeah, it was just, that's what you dream about, winning a Stanley Cup and those things. But you also want to get a hat trick and get some of those personal things too in your career, those milestones. So it was special. It was a special night. That's the biggest thrill. That was the best drug. That was an amazing feeling, scoring goals in the NHL. There's not much, you can't really explain it. It's just, you're just out of your body, and it's just like really in the moment. And especially in Vancouver, I loved playing in Vancouver. I loved living in Vancouver. I loved walking the streets in Vancouver. I loved meeting people. I loved everything about it, but playing in Vancouver was the best. It was just seeing the pregame shows coming out of the tunnel with all the red around and the fans going nuts, the goal songs, and just everything about playing there was just, it was amazing. I wish I stayed there longer.
Well, I want to ask you about that, but like, you're going from a Canadian market you're going from Florida to a Canadian market. So it's like, what was it like being a hockey player in the Florida Panthers market? Like, I can't pronounce it. I've been screwing up this word all weekend. Anonymity. Anonymity.
Well done, Ryan. You did it, bud.
There you go.
Well done.
But you go, like, what's it like being a hockey player in that? Like, do you, is it kind of discouraging seeing so many empty seats in the stands, or just one media member after the game, or do you kind of enjoy that break from it all?
It was kind of funny because the first time we went back there, like pretty soon after, and Torts in the pregame meeting was like talking about how the stands is dead out there. There's no energy and it's really quiet. And I was just sitting there like, I never noticed it. I thought it was good. It's like, I don't know. And then I got out there and just started kind of like paying attention to it. I was like, and then after being in Van and playing some games, I was like, I guess it is kind of dead here, but I liked it. I thought it was a good spot for a young player because you're not really like known or anything there. Like, not a lot of people know hockey, so you can kind of live your own life, which was cool. But I really got a taste of the NHL when I went into the Canadian markets. It's just different. You go from being like whatever in Florida, just a normal guy, like who plays hockey, and everyone goes, "What's hockey?" And then you go to Vancouver, and it's like all of a sudden, instead of 3 tweets after a game, you have 300 tweets, and it's like intense. But I loved it. I thought it was great, and out of all the Canadian markets I played in, Vancouver is my favorite by far. They treated the players well. good ownership. I loved playing with the Sedins. I thought they were really, just to look up to them and see how they handle their business was really cool. And Kevin Bieksa, I added him in there as well because he was a really good leader there, and Burrows and a lot of guys. So, and as a kid, like I played for the Belleville Bulls in junior. So after my games, I would watch Vancouver games because we played on Saturdays. So I would miss the Toronto game and then go to Kelsey's with our families and eat dinner and watch Vancouver. So I was always, and I have a lot of family. My brother was there at the time. I had 2 uncles, cousins. So yeah, my whole family loved it there. It was great.
So now that we know that Vancouver was your favorite place to play, what was the one that came a close second?
Florida. Like
okay.
I was there for so long, so it's where I got my start, and you know, it was a lot of fun playing there too, and I really enjoyed it there. And so those are my top 2, I guess. And like Toronto was, I mean, they were all cool, but like it's hard to say. Like it's just cool playing in the NHL. It really is. Like it was awesome.
Toronto for you would have been a homecoming, I would say. What's it like to play in front of all your friends and family at the NHL level?
Expensive, especially there. But no, it was fun. It was you know what, I thought it'd be more like more intense than Vancouver was, with just like in Vancouver I'd be walking down the street and I get stopped. Like I wasn't used to that because of Florida, and I thought Toronto would be like that times a million, but it really wasn't. It wasn't like that. And I'm sure it's crazier now that the team's doing well, but at the time it wasn't like, it was kind of like Florida, to be honest with you. I thought their rink was quieter. Like, it was, and it wasn't how I thought it would be, put it that way.
Yeah, it's like at this point, I'm cool. At this point, I'm like, how much do we have to apologize for Canucks Twitter? Really?
That's why I'm not even on Twitter anymore. So that's why I actually deleted Twitter because of the Canuck fans.
Dude, it's like we got nothing else going on, and it just seems like it's, even with the pandemic, it's like so exacerbated. But I guess on behalf of Canucks Twitter, like, Shawn, sorry, we know we suck.
Not all of you, not
not all of us. But
there's a couple though. Well, I like the year after, like when I was playing for Toronto, I scored the winning goal in Toronto to beat Van. I think we won like 2-1 or something. And like I couldn't believe some of the comments that were said to me in my Twitter. It was insane. Like there's a couple of people that are on my list now. So
how dare you go to another how dare you go to another city and thrive and do well and play against a team that didn't want to resign you for some stupid reason? How dare?
Yeah, I'm just doing my job. So, and it's not like I didn't want to go back to Van. I would have gone back to Van. So, 100% I would have.
Shawn? What happened there? Why didn't you resign in Vancouver?
They never even. I don't know. Like I honestly don't know. Like I was tied for second on even strength goals, and I honestly don't know. They said one time we're going to start talking, and they never talked to they said in the media they talked to us. They never once talked to us.
Oh, man.
Like Jim Benning didn't even call my agent, didn't call him back, nothing. I was like, it was crazy. Like I thought for sure I was going to stay. So I was pretty disappointed by that, to be honest.
This has been a common problem or occurrence with free agents and this front office in Vancouver. So I was starting looking at, since they took over in your first year, and that kind of was the first one of, why is that person walking? Why at 18 goals from a bottom six center is kind of what you want at that price range. Here I am, fantasy book.
Yeah. I had more goals than everyone they signed too, and I took less money than all of them too. So it's kind of weird. So I don't know. I never once think I talked to the GM that brought me in. I'm trying to remember his name, Gillis.
Yeah.
Never met him. And I never had a conversation with Jim Benning. Never once met him. So
wow. Like not even like passing or anything.
Nothing.
That's
not one word.
You didn't buy a house when you were here, did you?
No, I didn't. I will. Hey, if I had re-signed there, I'd be living in Vancouver the rest of my life, 100%. I thought for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of saw the writing on the wall, to be honest, near the end of the season, because I knew they had cap problems and they signed a couple guys, and I kind of assumed that maybe this wasn't a good thing for myself personally, and I was also brought in by the old GM who got fired and new coach, and I kind of, it was just kind of a weird time. Like as a player, the business side, like I'm aware of what happened, but you know, I wish I'd stayed. I would love to have worn that jersey for a few more years.
I mean, you were a tremendous part of that, you know, that team that made that playoff run. I mean, you guys, I mean, it was kind of, I don't want to say lightning in a bottle, but like nobody really expected that team to have 101 point season to get home ice in the playoffs. So what was, you know, you're talking about the business side of things, but like, you know, how did you gel with that room? You have some, you know, the old guard of, you know, the Sedins and Burrows and BX are in there. I mean, you're dealing with a new coach and you're dealing with Willie D, who's, you know, been in the minors for his forever. And this is his first crack at it. Like, you know, what was it like? Like, what was the vibe like in that team, and how'd you gel with, or who'd you gel with? You know,
It was amazing, to be honest. Like we had a really tight group of guys. Like out of it, I've talked to a few guys on that team, and I mean a couple other teams too. Like Florida, we had a good team that they went into a rebuild. We had a lot of injuries and kind of forced them to get a rebuild when they drafted Barkov. But in Van, like we had a tight group. Like we had guys that genuinely like really vibed well together. Like we had a close group. I think there were some weird decisions that weren't made by players that kind of threw us off as a group. And I don't know, like we had a great group. Like guys, I hung out with everyone. Like we hung out with our wives and girlfriends. Like everyone got along. We made the playoffs, and then it was like, I don't know, it was just, there was like a lack of communication with the management and the players. I think maybe it wasn't like that for top players, but like the Sedins, I'm sure talk. But like I said, I never once had and that was a lot of guys. That's not just me, right? That's the majority. So
is that something normal that happens on teams in the NHL, or do you think that is something specific to Vancouver?
I think, like, if you look at that Chicago team, they had Talon there before they won all those cups, and I had him in Florida. He was a very like buddy with the players, almost like he was always around. Like I talked to him all the time, and he was a great guy. I think it just depends on the GM. Like maybe I don't know. Like I don't know. You'd have to ask them, but yeah, I've had coaches that you're walking by them and then they pick up they always have a phone call, you know, like, I don't know. It's just, I think in that time, it was like more like, it's a business relationship. Maybe they just didn't want to talk, keep it professional. But I think you're still trying to win a Stanley Cup, and we had 100-point season that year, and we should be doing everything to like be gelling well. Like it starts at your leadership, right? And it works its all the way down. The players aren't up there. Players are more down here, right? It starts with your ownership, your GM, assistant, and all the way down, right? Coaches and all that. And if they're doing a horseshit job, the team's probably going to do a horseshit job. So I think communication's always been kind of a problem in hockey, but you know, you look at the young GMs coming in like Dubas, right? Like he seems like he's very involved with the team and connecting with the players, and probably asked for opinions or help, or, you know, we're the guys out there, we're seeing it like firsthand, and it looks a lot different up there than it does out there. It looks slow from up top. So those opinions from some of those guys, I don't really, you know what I mean? Like the players kind of,
for sure.
Do you think that
you need to talk? Like if you're trying to, like, it's like a coach, right? You're trying to coach a player, make him better. Like that's what I did like about Torts. He would come up to you. Like I remember I played 2.5 minutes with Torts, and he was like, I didn't like your energy in the first shift. And I was like, okay, like I'll be better. And he told me what to do. And the next game I played like 17 minutes, and it was like, but I played hard and I did what he said because I listened to him, right? But I wouldn't have known that if he hadn't communicated, right? So I think that's always an issue with best coaches are the best communicators.
What was Willie like in terms of communication and running that bench?
I liked Willie. He was good. He was a nice guy. He had really easy practices, so that was awesome. That's always good. I had Babs next year, and that was a nightmare for practice. So to go from Willie to Babs was quite tough. But, he was a good guy. He was, he was a new NHL coach. Came from junior. That's a pretty big jump. I've had some coaches that came from junior before, and it's what do you expect from a player coming out of junior, right? It's kind of the same thing with a coach. Like if they've never been to that level, like those bright lights, like when you're under them, it's a different energy that you're feeling. It's scary, like almost like there's nerves, there's anxiety, you don't want to make mistakes, and the players are so good. So any mistake, it's a game of mistakes, right? The team that makes the fewest mistakes is going to win the game. So, and when you have a coach that's inexperienced at that level, doesn't matter how many junior games you have, like you are going to make mistakes. And, we had a team that had a lot of veterans and we had a lot of new staff members. We had new coaches, a GM that's never been a GM before. We had Lyndon, who was the president. He hadn't done that before, but we had a lot of veterans in the room. We had guys like Cassian who could fight. We had guys that played hard on those bottom six. We had Richardson, Cassian, trying to remember who else we had. We had Dorsett. We had guys that played hard on those bottom six. We had skill up front. We had goals from all four lines. We had strong defense, goaltending. Markey was young. He was coming up, but we had Miller who moved. It was beautiful to watch him move in practice. He was so skillful. He was best goalie I've ever shot on by far. So we had a good team. We had pieces. We just, I don't know. There was a lack of, I guess, experience at the top ends. Like I said, it works its way down.